Welcome back to Hotel Japan. So you've decided you're going to make a trip to Japan. Welcome. Everyone's welcome. Well, almost everyone. But don't worry, I know most people don't want to come to Japan and they act like those rude knobhead tourists. In fact, you're probably more worried about making mistakes when you come to Japan, right? So let me help you out. Today, I'm going to show you 5 mistakes that you can avoid when you come to Japan that only a local Japanese YouTuber can teach you. But don't worry, it's not gonna be the same old stuff like don't put your chopsticks into the rice, or like you should take off your shoes when you come indoors, and because that's boring. Mistake number 1, Japan isn't one country. Well, obviously, not literally. If it was more than one country, we'd be getting more tariffs. What I mean is that when people come to Japan for the first time, they don't really consider how each prefecture is like its own micro country. There are 47 unique prefectures, and each of them has got its own food, different climates, and even different dialects. And yet you see people coming to Tokyo and looking for good okonomiyaki and amazing tonkotsu ramen. And that's like going to New York and trying to find Texas barbecue, or go to the UK and look for some good anything. Look at this map of Japan. Now, close your eyes. What are you doing? You can't see the map now, idiot. Anyway, just like this, Japan is split into 47 prefectures. And then, top of that, there are 8 bigger regions. Hokkaido, Tounkhoku, where I am now, Kanto, where Tokyo is, Chubu, Kansai, which is sometimes called Kinki, which is, an unfortunate name for English speakers, especially when there used to be a band called Kinki Kids. Then you have Chugoku, Shikoku, and Kyushu, which kind of includes Okinawa, but kind of doesn't, so let's not talk about it right now. Anyway, if you want to avoid regretting how you spend your time in Japan, what I'm talking to you, need to be worried about is where you eat certain food. If you're talking about the big regional delicacies that everyone in Japan will know, you go to Fukuoka for tonkotsu ramen, Kansai, specifically Osaka for takoyaki and okonomiyaki, Aomori for bluefin tuna, Hokkaido for kani, crab. And here in Sendai, gyutan or grilled ox tongue is very famous, which I've covered before on the channel. But then, if you go a level deeper, you'll be introduced to a B-級gourmet, literally B-level gourmet, regional dishes that only locals will know. Like, back to Sendai, everyone in Japan and their mothers know gyutan. But do you know about mabo yakisoba? No? Well, now you do. Crispy yakisoba noodles covered in spicy, savory mabo-style Chinese tofu. You say this to a Japanese person and only those select few, the B-級gourmet genius, will know this. Now you too are B-級gourmet genius. Make sure to put it on your CV. Want some more? Sure you do. Head to Fukushima for enban or UFO gyoza, perfectly cooked so the skin forms this big UFO shape. Akashiyaki from Hyogo, fluffy octopus egg dumplings. Fukuoka, mizutaki nabe, a hot pot with chicken and shiitake cooked in water and dipped in ponzu. You see, I could go on and on. What I'm trying to say here is that you're definitely going to try to make the most out of the food when you come to Japan. And knowing just where's the place to get the best of each dish can take your experience from a, well, I guess that was okay, to a, what the fuck, this is the best thing I've ever had in my life, thank you Ryotaro, have $50. That last bit is a binding contract, by the way. You can send me money via PayPal. You need to treat Japan as if you're traveling Europe. Each place has got its own specialties. So when you come to Japan, try to find out what places are most famous for the things that you really want to try. If you cannot fit all of them into your itinerary, try to find some authentic places, like Fukuoka chain of tonkotsu ramen. If you want a good place to stay in Miyagi, look where I am. Mistake number 2, complicated food etiquette. Now you're probably seeing a lot of videos about Japan. You know about itadakimasu and gochiso-sama, you say when you eat, right? And you know it's not a good thing to stick your chopsticks into the food. Baby stuff, you can do better. There's some other food etiquette that even confuse Japanese people. So let me introduce my guide to Real super specific dining etiquette that you don't really need to know, but probably should know about anyway just in case. Maybe I need a new title for that. So let's assume that you already know the basics of dining etiquette in Japan. Stuff like not breaking the chopsticks with teeth, no rubbing them together, no doing the walrus. Simple stuff. But where do we go from there? There's some super simple things I often see people doing, like ordering cold soba, pour the dipping sauce onto the bamboo tray, and then watching the sauce leak onto the table. That sauce is for dipping, not for pouring. But what about some things that even Japanese people get wrong? Let's start with some basic sushi etiquette. Now, this only really applies to high-end sushi places and not everywhere. But ideally speaking, you want to dip the neta or the topping of your nigiri sushi directly into the soy sauce and not the rice to stop the sushi falling apart. And you should eat the nigiri in one bite and enjoy the harmony of flavors. And now a point even a lot of Japanese people get wrong. You are traditionally not supposed to mix wasabi with soy sauce, but instead you're adding wasabi to sashimi. Add it directly to the fish. But if you're eating nigiri at not revolving sushi restaurant, the chef has already put wasabi for you, so you don't want to be adding extra. And what if you're going to this high-end sushi place with a Japanese colleague or your boss? Maybe you grab yourself a drink. A bottle of beer sounds good. Pour yourself a glass, and wrong. You've just offended Tanaka-san again. He's still angry from the last video. In Japan, especially if you are in a group of colleagues or even friends who are older than you, it's customary to pour drinks for the others. Don't let your host pour their own drinks. Hold a bottle with both hands and the other person will hold up the glass. The person receiving the drink will say, "Ototototototototot," and the person pouring the drink will say, "Ma ma 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 ma." Why? I don't know. Not every piece of Japanese cultural trivia has some deep answer rooted in Shintoism. Well, actually, ototo is like saying, "Wow, that's enough." And then ma 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 is like saying, "Don't be silly, it's not full just yet." Now, that's culture. If it's a super formal business thing, the order of the drinks goes from the person in the top position to the lower positions. And what if there are two presidents from two companies? Well, that's simple. They fight to the death. Or just get to bottles, I guess. And most importantly, never take a sip of your drink before the first cup of the night. That is super rude, and Tanaka-san is watching your every move now. So now you're a pro when it comes to dining out. No one's gonna think you're rude. "Oh, what's that? Your glass is empty. Let me pour a drink." Mistake number 3, being stuck in the future. I get it, Japan is the land of the future. Look, we have robots in the restaurants. Look at this umbrella thing we have outside department stores. Look at whatever the this thing is. But if you want to experience the real Japan, you need to go back to the Showa era. And today I'm going to introduce you the best places to relive the old days. Yanaka Ginza. It's where Tokyo's retro charm comes to life. Just a short walk from Nippori Station, this nostalgic shopping street feels like a time machine back to the Showa era. Local shops sell everything from handmade snacks to traditional crafts, and friendly neighborhood cats roam freely as if they own the place. There is no neon or skyscrapers here, just a quiet joy of daily life. Whether it's biting into a freshly fried croquette or chatting with shop owner who's been there for decades, Yanaka Ginza is a reminder that Tokyo's heart still beats in its own streets. Iroha Yokocho in Sendai, a narrow alleyway where post-war Showa vibes still linger. And every bar feels like a secret waiting to be discovered, tucked behind the city's modern streets. This retro maze of tiny izakayas and bars is where locals gather, stories unfold, and time slows down. The lanterns glow softly, the aroma of grilled skewers drifts through the air, and the strangers often leave as friends. No filters, no flash, just real connections in the old school atmosphere. If you want to sip sake where history whispers and laughter spills into the night, this is where you start. Now you too can experience the best nostalgic spots from the 70s and 80s and live life like when the Japan was top of the world. What's that? You want to get paid like they were in the 80s? Own a house? Mistake number 4, choosing the wrong combini food. Look, I get it. Everyone loves Family Mart, 7-Eleven, and Lawson. Everyone loves tamago sando and onigiri. And it's so easy to make those shit Instagram reels and TikToks on those things. I don't have any problem on going to combini. In fact, I go there all the time. But when I look at the YouTube or Instagram, I see this combini tips where people buy a fried chicken and put that inside a melon pan and then put this Kewpie mayo on the top. Just looking at it just makes me so sad because 1, that's gross, why did you do that? And 2, you're choosing the wrong bloody thing at combini. So let's go on a Ryotaro's combini tour. Pick some things a true local will get. No one ever talks about all the good crisps or potato chips that Japan has to offer. I especially like these pizza-flavored pizza pote or these kataage, which literally means hard-fried, super crunchy. And the ice cream. Everyone always goes for the chocolate or vanilla ones somehow. Boring. Go for either gari-gari-kun or suika bar that you can feel what it's like to be a Japanese child from the countryside on a hot summer day. The suika ones also have little balls of chocolate to look like a watermelon. And finally, if you're buying famichiki because some British pleb told you to, do it the right way. Get the special famichiki bun they sell, and it comes with a tartar sauce. Stick your famichiki inside and done. And if you're going to the combini and getting the same thing every single time, you're also making a mistake. The great thing about combinis in Japan is that the things on offer change throughout the seasons. Like in winter, you're likely to see oden or warm soup filled with different fillings at counter, perfect for keeping yourself warm. Or if it's in summer, you're likely to see much more mint chocolate and watermelon flavored ice creams. So let's say that you picked your combini snack and you're ready to order. Go up to the combini staff, maybe you try to strike up a conversation, ask him how his day is going. But wait, oh no, that combini tencho is Tanaka-san again and he's angry. Why? Because another mistake I see people make when they come to Japan is trying to make small talk with strangers in places like chain restaurants or combini. Maybe if you go to a small locally run places in like countryside, you're likely to find more people willing to chat. But generally, young workers in places like this are always taught to follow the manual for how they conduct themselves at work. And small talk about the weather, it's not rude per se, but it's not really a thing people do. There is no rule for it in the manual, and then they might look at you a bit weird if you start talking to just anyone. Tanaka-san especially does not approve. And there we have it. You are the king of combini now. And you didn't have to make 1,000 TikToks to tell how good the rice bowl is. You're welcome. Mistake number 5, not going to Tounkhoku. Imagine this, you've been saving to go to Japan for years, and it's finally time for a dream trip of your lifetime. You're going to go to the Pokemon Center, then Shibuya Crossing, and then see Hachiko, then you're heading off to Kyoto to see... or maybe that place with all the shrines. Golden Pavilion? You know what? Fuck this, let's go somewhere else. Over-tourism is becoming a big topic for Japan. Some places, everywhere you go, it's just so busy you just can't enjoy them. Which is why the biggest mistake I think you can make when you come to Japan is not heading somewhere a bit more quiet. Out of the 10 million tourists that came to Japan by March, only about 3 to 4% came to Tounkhoku. So if you're sick of crowds at Fushibi Inari in Kyoto and still want to get your fill of the red torii gates, why not head to Takayama Inari Shrine in Aomori? Torii gates for days. Or you can see torii gates, and look how many people there are! Or maybe you wanted to get the feel of shrines in Kyoto? Why not instead go to somewhere like Yamadera, a gorgeous mountain shrine where you can see some of the best views in the region, beautiful in every season. Or if you're looking for ryokan, Tounkhoku is the best place. Like this ryokan in Shiroishi in Miyagi Prefecture, and I've always loved morning markets. And I want to show you 2 of my favorites in Tounkhoku. First up, Sendai Asaichi, just few steps from Sendai Station. Located down a narrow alley, it's packed with fresh seafood, local veggies, and friendly voices. It's small but full of life, and so close to the station so you could swing by before catching the train. Finally, there is Tatehana Wharf Morning Market in Hachinohe every Sunday before sunrise. over 300 stores line the coast in one of the Japan's biggest morning markets. Locals stroll with coffee, kids run around, and fishermen grill their catch by the sea. It's more than a market, it's community gathering. There you have it, you have the trip of a lifetime. And you didn't have to get squished like those rush hour trains just to see the ruddy red torii shrine. Thank me later. Now that's it for the video. What did you think of these mistakes? Let me know in the comments below if you know other mistakes that you should avoid in Japan. And remember, oh, your glass is empty. See you in next video.